In the heart of Buddhist philosophy lies a profound understanding of why suffering persists in the human condition. The Buddha identified three fundamental mental forces that distort perception, cloud judgment, and bind beings to dissatisfaction. These forces are known as the three poisons: greed, hatred, and delusion. They are called poisons because they intoxicate the mind, corrupting natural clarity and peace. From them arise all forms of conflict, sorrow, and confusion. To understand them is to understand the roots of unhappiness. To overcome them is to taste genuine freedom. The three poisons are not abstract ideas, but living tendencies observable in every human life. They manifest in thoughts, emotions, and actions. They influence relationships, desires, and fears. Yet, within Buddhist wisdom, each poison carries its own antidote, qualities that can transform ignorance into understanding and suffering into peace. The path to happiness begins with recognizing these poisons as they are, not with judgment, but with awareness. The first poison is greed, also known as craving or attachment. It is the mind's insatiable urge to grasp and hold on to experiences, possessions, and identities. Greed arises from the belief that fulfillment lies outside oneself, in things to be owned, people to be possessed, or achievements to be secured. It whispers the illusion that happiness depends on obtaining more, becoming more, or holding on to what is pleasant. This poison appears in countless forms: the desire for wealth and status, the craving for sensory pleasure, the hunger for approval, or the endless chase for novelty. It may disguise itself as ambition, love, or comfort, yet beneath it lies a restless unease, the feeling that something is missing. Greed blinds the mind to the transient nature of life. Whatever is gained must eventually be lost, and the pursuit of permanence in a changing world leads only to disappointment. The Buddha likened desire to drinking salt water. The more one consumes, the thirstier one becomes. The cycle of craving never ends, for the satisfaction it promises vanishes as soon as it is touched. The antidote to this poison is generosity, the act of giving without expectation. Generosity loosens the tight grip of possession and opens the heart to contentment. It transforms the sense of lack into a sense of abundance. Generosity, in Buddhist understanding, extends beyond material giving. It includes offering time, attention, and kindness. It arises from recognizing that true happiness increases through sharing, not hoarding. When the mind practices generosity, it learns that letting go does not lead to loss, it leads to freedom. The heart that gives without self-interest discovers a joy deeper than acquisition, the joy of connection and gratitude. The second poison is hatred, also called aversion or ill will. It is the mind's impulse to push away what it dislikes, fears, or does not understand. It manifests as anger, resentment, prejudice, or cruelty. Hatred arises from the illusion of separation, the belief that others are threats to one's comfort or identity. It feeds on judgment and sustains the delusion that destroying what is disliked can bring peace. In reality, hatred burns the one who harbors it more than the one it targets. It agitates the mind, poisons relationships, and turns the heart cold. Even when hatred seems justified, it never brings true relief. It only reinforces suffering. The Buddha compared anger to holding a burning coal with the intention of throwing it at another. It is the holder who gets burned first. The antidote to hatred is loving kindness, or metta. Loving kindness is not mere sentiment, but a deliberate cultivation of goodwill toward all beings, including those who cause harm. It recognizes that every being acts according to their understanding and conditioning. Hatred thrives on ignorance. Kindness arises from understanding. When the heart sees that all beings seek happiness yet suffer through confusion, compassion naturally replaces hostility. Through the practice of loving kindness, anger softens, forgiveness becomes possible, and peace takes root. The mind no longer reacts blindly to pain, but responds with patience and care. This does not mean accepting injustice or harm, but meeting conflict without hatred. In doing so, the mind protects its own peace while also transforming the energy of suffering into understanding. The third poison is delusion, also called ignorance or confusion. It is the root from which greed and hatred grow. Delusion clouds perception, preventing the mind from seeing things as they truly are. It manifests as misunderstanding, denial, or a distorted view of reality. Under its influence, the mind clings to false beliefs, such as the idea of a permanent self, the illusion of control, or the belief that temporary pleasures can provide lasting satisfaction. Delusion is subtle and pervasive. It makes the unreal appear real and the transient appear stable. It causes beings to mistake the causes of suffering for the causes of happiness. This blindness perpetuates the endless cycle of craving and aversion as the mind oscillates between desire and fear without understanding their futility. The antidote to delusion is wisdom, the clear seeing of reality as it is. Wisdom does not arise from intellectual knowledge alone, but from direct experience and mindfulness. It is the recognition of impermanence, interdependence, and non-self. When wisdom matures, the mind sees that all phenomena arise and pass away according to causes and conditions. Nothing exists in isolation or permanence. With this insight, the grip of delusion weakens. The mind no longer clings to identities, possessions, or fixed views. It understands that everything changes, that nothing can be possessed, and that true peace lies not in control, but in acceptance. Wisdom brings clarity. Clarity brings freedom. Together, the three poisons form the foundation of suffering, while their antidotes, generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom, form the foundation of liberation. They are not opposing forces in a battle, but transformations of energy. The same desire that drives greed can be refined into generosity. The same intensity that fuels anger can be transformed into compassion, and the same confusion that breeds ignorance can become the soil of understanding. In everyday life, these poisons can be seen in subtle ways. Greed appears as constant dissatisfaction, hatred as irritation, and delusion as distraction or self-deception. Awareness is the key to transformation. When the mind observes these forces without judgment, understanding naturally arises. The poisons lose their power when they are seen clearly. The practice of mindfulness plays a crucial role in this process. Through steady observation of thoughts, emotions, and sensations, the mind learns to recognize the roots of greed, hatred, and delusion as they arise. Instead of reacting automatically, it responds with wisdom. Awareness acts as a mirror, reflecting the truth of each moment without distortion. In that reflection, the poisons begin to dissolve. Over time, the cultivation of their antidotes becomes second nature. Generosity replaces the urge to grasp, kindness replaces resentment, and clarity replaces confusion. This gradual purification of the heart leads to freedom, not dependent on external circumstances. The teachings describe this process as the movement from darkness to light. The poisons obscure the natural radiance of the mind, but they do not destroy it. Just as clouds cover the sun without diminishing its brilliance, greed, hatred, and delusion only conceal the mind's inherent clarity. When the clouds are removed, the light shines effortlessly. Greed says, "I want." Hatred says, "I refuse." Delusion says, "I do not understand." Together they build the prison of suffering. Generosity says, "Take what is needed." Loving kindness says, "May all be well." Wisdom says, "All things change." Together they open the gates to freedom. The transformation of these poisons is not achieved through suppression but through understanding. Each time generosity is chosen over selfishness, the grip of craving weakens. Each time compassion replaces anger, the fire of hatred cools. Each time awareness sees through confusion, the fog of ignorance clears. In the end, the three poisons and their antidotes reflect two possible directions of the mind: one that clings, resists, and confuses, and one that releases, accepts, and understands. The Buddha's teaching points to the second path, the path of clarity, kindness, and liberation. When the poisons no longer dominate perception, life is experienced with openness and ease. Contentment arises not from possession, but from the absence of craving. Peace arises not from control, but from the absence of hatred. Freedom arises not from belief, but from direct understanding. Thus, the three poisons that once blocked happiness become the very gateways to awakening. By seeing greed, hatred, and delusion clearly, their opposites naturally emerge. Generosity brings joy, loving kindness brings harmony, and wisdom brings peace. Together they form the antidote to all suffering, the medicine of awareness that restores the natural balance of the mind. In this way, happiness is not something to be found elsewhere. It is uncovered when the poisons that conceal it are released. When the heart is free from craving, free from ill will, and free from confusion, it rests in its original nature, calm, compassionate, and clear as still water reflecting the open sky.